Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the official McKinney Chupacabras podcast called Inside the Den. This is a podcast dedicated and made for you, the fans, to take you through all things Chupacabras and everything else involved in the running of the club and the day-to-day stuff as well. Firstly, a huge thank you to Stuff.io for supporting the club and for their use of the facilities today. This is their wonderful podcast studio, and we're very, very grateful for them for the opportunity to use their facilities. Today's guest, I'm delighted to be joined by, I think it's safe to say, I feel like you're quite a humble person, but you're an Ipswich Town legend, and very much a big name in the MLS, aren't you, Frank?
I guess I am, yes. No, I've been obviously lucky enough to play at Ipswich for many years professionally, and then obviously started my coaching career out here in the MLS. So, yeah. So I guess yes.
So tell us then why you're here today in McKinney. You've got a bit of a relationship that goes back a few years with one of the minority owners, Ed Puskarich.
Yes. Yeah, me and Ed, we go way back to 96 when MLS first started. I was playing in Tampa. Mm-hmm. And Ed was playing for Dallas.
Okay.
Burn, it was called then. And knew him from that. And then every time we would get together, when he started his coaching career as well, wherever we would be, MLS teams would always sort of go to the combines and different meetings. And me and Ed sort of, became friends from that, if that makes sense. So we chatted over the years, not super close, but we've kept in contact with each other, which is great. And he told me about the project he's doing here, or not project, wrong word, but the team he started up in McKinney last year, and he asked me to come down and view it and be around and see what I thought and stuff like that. So very, very happy to be here, and it's fantastic the way it's gone in the first season, crowd-wise, and obviously, on the pitch, maybe it could be a little bit better, but, it's a first-year thing. It's never easy. I've done it many times when, everyone wants you to win because you got big crowds, and it's not so easy. But very impressed with the setup that the team has here, and it's very good.
Yeah, we're excited for the second season. For those that are watching online, we have our wonderful new jerseys here. And I'll say jerseys, this is an American audience, but to me and you, we would call this a football shirt because, of course, you were born in England, but you weren't raised in England. You were kind of born in England, then you moved over, not stateside, but over to Canada.
Correct. Yeah, I was born in Watford. It's a place near London, a little town near, not town, it's a city, but near London. Lived there till I was 10, and then my parents immigrated to Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
So the football, it started obviously in Watford for me playing, just local sort of, schools. Football was big in England, so I played that, Cub Scouts, stuff like that, and then got over to Vancouver and continued playing, just obviously at youth level. Then at 14, I got not scouted, but a friend of Bobby Robson, was the manager of Ipswich. I used to play against his son's team, and he phoned Bobby Robson and said, I think I should have a look at this kid. The good news was I had a British passport. I just moved over to Canada. Yeah. And it in those days, you're only allowed, I think, 2 foreign players in the old First Division. It's the Premier League now. So that's changed a lot, because you can imagine, the teams now are full of foreign players, but in the Premier League. But so I managed to do that. Went over at 14 on trial. Went back again sort of 2 or 3 times over Christmas, and then I went over summer times for the 2 years. And then at 16, I was old enough to sign. I signed apprentice forms. And then by the time I was played in the youth team and reserve team, and then by the time turned 19, I've made it my debut at Everton. That was a tough one.
For Ipswich Town.
For Ipswich Town, yes.
How was that debut back at, I presume it was still Goodison Park back then?
It was. Yeah, it was good. So long ago. It was 1984, March of 84. I forget the date. I think it's 9th or 8th or one of those two. But vividly remember it, because back in the days when I was playing, when in the reserve team, you'd play in the first team's stadium, but there's no crowd.
Of course.
So there's no one in there. And all of a sudden, I'm running out at Goodison, and I'm thinking, I do remember thinking, this place is packed, because it's obviously a different view when you're on the field to look at all the stands and so many people are looking at, not you, but the players. So yeah, that was the first thing that really stuck to me. But went okay. I played quite well in the game. We lost 1-0. Do remember that. But that team, Everton team, went on to win the first division, the old first division back then. So I played another 6 games that season when I was 19, and then just sort of in and out of the team for a few years, and then ended up playing 386 games.
Yeah. But which is a hell of a feat for an entire career, but for one specific team, I feel like that's something that's actually dying out in the modern game. You don't normally see players stay with a team for so long. Why did you stay with Ipswich for so long?
I think it was more normal back then. In my time when I played, you just sort of signed a contract unless you were really unhappy. You just got on with it and just kept getting re-signed. I was thinking about, when I started coaching, it's about consistency as a player. And when I think about it, it's like I had about 7 or 8 different managers. So, someone will get sacked or moved on or whatever. Bobby Robson was the first one, not in the first team. I never played under Bobby in the first team. But Bobby Ferguson was my first manager. He gave me my chance. So I'm grateful for him for giving me that chance. But then, obviously, managers come and go. And you've got to prove yourself with your consistency and your play to every single manager that's coming in that's brand new, doesn't know you. Yeah. So it's kind of a good segue. I always talk to my players that, I don't talk about myself, but I'm saying, you've got to forever be getting better and listening and adjusting to what the manager kind of wants. Yeah. Because if you don't play. So, yeah, I felt that was a big thing for me. But, I played quite a few games. And then the move to MLS in '96. Which was interesting and real fun for me, just as a player, because normally over there you slide down the divisions. Colchester wanted to sign me. I was like, oh no, not that I didn't want to go, but no, it's right near Ipswich.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I understand there's been a lot of apprehension with some players, especially in the modern game, that when their career starts to come to the tail end, they don't really want to have to move down the divisions, and be that because they feel like they're, better off not being down in those low divisions, maybe because they think they're better than that, or maybe just because they don't want to, to take the pay cuts or whatever. But you decided at that part of your career to come to the MLS, which back in those days, the MLS was a baby.
It's brand new.
Yeah, completely,
so 96 were kind of, doing trials and all that stuff, getting ready for the draft. But I had a friend who lived in Los Angeles, and he kind of phoned me up and said, would you be interested? This was like, middle of 95, I think. And then I said, yeah, I would be. So I put my name in the hat kind of thing. The good news was I'm used to North America because I lived in Canada. Yeah. And so it wasn't like really foreign for me. So, it seemed a good move. And I'd played for Canada, so I'd been to the States a lot of times on vacation and playing. And so it wasn't like it was going to be going to somewhere like Turkey or, somewhere I've never been or played. So I felt comfortable with that. And, I ended up getting drafted by Tampa. Yeah.
And after only 2 or 3 years of playing in the MLS, you decided to call it quits there on your career and start the move into coaching. Now, with that, did you always know? I feel like some players know as soon as they start playing that they want to move into coaching. Some of us, they kind of decide halfway through, and some of us are kind of late to the game. But with you going straight from playing directly into the kind of the coaching scene, it must have been something that was on your mind.
Yeah, it was actually. It's a great point and well said, because I took my first FA coaching badge when I was 23 at Ipswich. So it must have been on my mind to think, get ready for the afterlife, if you like, of footballers, because if you don't get a career, you put everything you can into your craft, and it's playing football or playing soccer, right? So it's a little scary when it ends. And back in the day as well, we didn't earn the wages that are earned now. So you had to then go into as we call it, a proper job. But I always had my thought on doing that, and I was always pretty vocal on the field, organising at the back, sort of thing. So it became a natural thing that I fell into and liked it. Yeah, I didn't retire myself, by the way. You said that.
Yeah.
I got retired. No, they said that Tampa has got to a point where it's like, we need to use your foreign spot for someone else. I was like, what does that mean? He goes, well, we're going to offer you a coaching job. So, yeah, I got retired. I didn't want to retire, but they said it's kind of over.
So you would have happily played for a couple of more
I
years.
kept going. Yeah, I think so, until you can't anymore. I never had any bad injuries, which is great, touch wood. So I was lucky in that front, so I wasn't sort of struggling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, age is catching up with you, 34, turning 35, so it's like, it's not going to last forever, but I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a good move, and got into it, did a, what was it, 1 year at Tampa, and then I did 1 year at DC United, as in both assistant coaching jobs. And then when I was at DC, I interviewed for the San Jose Earthquake job, just for experience. My agent said to me, he says, yeah, go over there and talk to them and see how it goes and get some experience. And I went over, and lo and behold, they liked me and they offered me the job. So something I said must have resonated with them. But they gave me the opportunity. So I'm forever grateful for that organization to do that for me.
Talk us through that San Jose spell then. What were kind of your main foundations for the success that you had there?
Well, basically, you're thrown into it. You got to figure out what players you want to keep. First of all, what players you're going to be looking at to try and trade for or bring in, and all those things. And lucky enough, I've been scouting a lot with both Tampa and then DC, so I'm kind of up on most of the college players. So when the draft, I felt comfortable with. Being in the league, you get to know the players pretty much, because it was back then. I think it was like 12 teams, maybe 10. So it was not as many players to kind of have to scout or watch or know or like all that stuff. So basically, I kind of knew the league, and then I was straight into it. Like, got a draft. My first move was I got the league signed returning international players, and I'd seen Landon Donovan play probably 4 or 5 years earlier, or 4 years earlier, when I was at Tampa in Bradenton for the U16s, I think it was, and it was just like, wow, he's unbelievable. And then they said, would you be interested in taking him? And he was 18 years old at the time when he come back, but because I had seen him live, I didn't take a chance, but I said absolutely. So he was my first signing. I got Dwayne De Rosario from another draft that was from sort of the USL. It's called the USL now, but it was the A-League back then. I took him in the draft from that one as well. So I got Landon De Rosario straight away. I traded for Jeff Agus, who was a US national team player, and DC United's captain. And I'd worked with Jeff the year before, so I knew him intimately. So it's like, so you just start to make moves like that. Then the draft comes, and so you got to hit the ground running. And we had some good players at San Jose at the time. They were the worst team in the league, but I felt that some of the bones that they had, they were good. Good goalkeeper Joe Cannon. I mean, these guys, I don't know if you know these guys. I'm going back in years. Probably the listeners might not know all these players, but Ian Russell, Richard Mulrooney, Ronald Cerritos. All these players are really good MLS players. They stayed with, and I added some good players to go with that group. Yeah.
But someone that the listeners will know, certainly that I know, you mentioned him there, Landon Donovan. What was it like working with such a raw and young talent like that? Someone that you knew was going to go on to success, and someone that we can now sit back on all these years later and go, he's one of the greatest American success stories.
Yes. I still think he's one of the best American players.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he wanted to play in America, which was, he kept saying, I don't want to live anywhere else. And it was kind of neat, It was like he wanted to live in California and play soccer for, local teams. San Jose is too far away. He's from Redlands, so he ended up, when he went away and come back, he went to the Galaxy. And I managed to coach him again there when I went back to the Galaxy. But it was interesting. He's 18, away from home, so he actually just got inducted into the San Jose Hall of Fame, and I went to the event, and he gave me a little shout out that I used to give him Mondays off. I'd forgot all about it. So he he used to take every Monday off to go see his sister and his mum at home.
Nice.
So I made sure he's only 18, so he was a little homesick. So we had that little deal between us, and all the rest of the guys. He's such a good player. You're like, yeah, it's fine. He can take a day off if he wants. But you had to manage him, bring him on nicely. Talent-wise, fantastic player.
Is that something you mentioned there about making sure that you gave him the time off? He was only a young kid. Is that something that you've done kind of throughout your career? Is work with these young talents, but make sure to be that, not just that man manager, but be that mentor, be that tutor. Make sure that they're being catered for and looked after, because you see it so much now in the modern game where a kid will come on the scene at 16 or 17. You've seen it with Lamine Yamal, for example, with Spain, thrust onto the scene, thrust into the limelight, and that isn't always sustainable. So is that something you've kind of done over your career to help younger players succeed further down the line?
Yeah, I mean, it's just natural, though. I mean, you don't go out to say, I'm going to, help this kid or help anybody, but that's the way I am and the way I coach. I look at it as, they're helping me out. I'm going to help them out with certain things. And you still have the team concept. It's not guys missing practice. It's, I know about it and I've told the team, so we have no issues.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with it, say now, or if don't say it later behind someone's back. So I always do it, make sure everyone knows up front what's happening. And it's pretty simple. The rules are pretty simple. It seems like sometimes, not nowadays, but, you get called not soft, but kind of, you're too nice to the players.
Yeah.
I totally disagree with that. So I got all my players to play for me. So that's, in the end, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Get them to play. So, my reputation is, being a player's coach. And I like that. And it's not being soft.
Before we kind of move on through the rest of your career, because I know our time here is precious, I kind of want to focus on your success here in this first stint. A remarkable job, and it's still talked about to this day. Can you kind of allude to how that was as an early coach to go through such a successful period?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're kind of you're not sure if you can be a head coach. I've never stood in front of the players or never sort of. I've had team meetings a little bit with some of the guys at DC, some of the guys when I was in Tampa, but not in charge. Like it's on you. So that was new, and it's kind of a little bit what's the word I'm trying to look for? But you're not scared of it, but you're kind of nervous that you're not going to come across how you want to and get these guys to all play for you and stuff like that. But they really helped. I had a great group of guys. In pre-season, we were playing. I had Dominic Kinnear as my very successful coach in MLS too. He's my assistant. And I think we sort of kind of looked at each other and I said, I think we were playing pre-season game. I said, I think we've got a chance of being pretty good this year, because we were just like, I'm watching some of our players going, holy man, we got a good team here. So it wasn't a surprise that we did well. The big surprise, the first game we had was Galaxy away, and we are 3-0 up at halftime. So this is against a team that I think maybe not just won it, but pretty much one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
And we're 3-0 up at halftime at their place. So it's like, we ended up winning 3-2. But, to be 3-0 up against one of the best teams in the league, it was like, okay, our guys can play on the big stage. Yeah. Because it's easy in preseason, easy in training. But I think that was a good statement. That was like, okay, we're going to be pretty good. And we just kept going and got some great results. And we played at Spartan Stadium, which is a tight field. And, we played some good stuff there. But it wasn't long ball. It wasn't sort of, I kept getting told I'm going to play long ball because I'm British. I was like, well, some of the English teams and West Ham and Ipswich are both known for playing nice soccer and competitive stuff. So it went really well. Won a championship in the first year, and it's like, this is easy, but it's not. And the second year, I think we had a pretty good year. Made the playoffs. Had a few injuries in the wrong time in the playoff run. Didn't make it to the final, but then we come back the next year with another few little different tweaks. I had some players I picked up. Brian Ching being one was really good player. He ended up a very good a US national team player. But we kind of changed the team a little bit, and then we went and won it a game in 2003.
Yeah, you say it so casually as win it, and then a couple of years later you win it again. It's not a mean feat to win any division, but to win 2 MLS and within the space of 3 years is a remarkable achievement, especially for a first-time coach, and you had your own personal accolades in that time as well, winning MLS Coach of the Year, I believe. I think it was in the first season, in 2001. Now, you won that again all the way into 10 years later, and I think it was 2011. So let's just try and summarise that 10-year period as best we can. A stint with Canada, then a couple more stints in the MLS. What was that kind of period of your life like? I was speaking to you earlier off camera. The last 18 months for me have been a bit of a whirlwind, but I can imagine going from never coaching before to MLS Coach of the Year, winning the MLS, and all of a sudden you imagine managing the Canadian national team and then back in the MLS. It must have been a crazy period.
It was, it was. I would say that if I ever any regret was leaving sort of the Earthquakes after we won it the second time, because I didn't know at the time, but that team ended up moving to Houston. All the players that I had moved with the team, but I took the Canadian national team job after we won the second cup. Because I thought, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a chance to coach my country ever. It's like they really wanted me to do it. I was like, oh. So I did. It's not a regret, but it didn't really work out how I thought. I thought I could get them to the World Cup. The qualifying was just starting, so I didn't get a chance to really go through all the players and get my mark across. No excuses, we didn't make it. And then in 2006, I got a call from the Galaxy that would I be interested in joining them, because they were struggling that season, and we are probably going to sign David Beckham the next season. So that was a tough one to turn down. So I was like, okay, I'm in. So that was a weird time though, because David Beckham's coming to the league, and probably, if not the most recognizable footballer, in the world at that point. I mean, there's been some obviously big names and big players, but David Beckham with marrying Posh Spice, Posh and all that stuff. So superstar was coming. So I met him in Madrid with Alexi Lalas. That was over the Christmas time after the first season in 2006, and he come in summer of 2007. I think I'm getting my dates right here. And great guy. Didn't realize the problems we had in MLS, meaning travel, standards of hotel, standards of food, all those things that he's used to. He was shocked that we weren't doing it. So it was a learning curve for me a little bit, and him obviously. But we had a good relationship. He's good. He was injured most of the time I had him though. That was the only sad part, because when he did play, it was like, wow, amazing. Because he was only 32 at the time, maybe 31, 32. Good. It's still very, very much at the top of his game, because he did end up going, I think it was to Milan on loan, AC Milan on loan.
Yeah, and then he ended his career at PSG.
Correct. So before that, but he come back after that loan spell. But it's good having him. And on the same team was Landon. So we had a good team. We just couldn't get it together, and they couldn't play together that much. And then the Earthquakes in 2008 were coming back, and they asked me, because I had success there, would I be interested? Well, they asked Galaxy to talk to me to see if I wanted to go. And I didn't really enjoy the Galaxy experience, because it was a bit of a circus, and it was tough. It was a tough time it wasn't really coaching. It's more like managing, and there was a lot of stuff going on at the time. So I jumped at the chance to go back. So I went back expansion year in 2008, and then had a good spell with them. Took a while to grow the team. It's a little bit different back then, where not as easy. Maybe it's never easy, but not as straightforward as building a roster. You had to start from scratch, and I'm taking guys from other teams that are left unprotected, if that makes sense. So you have expansion draft and all that stuff, and then you got to use other resources to sign players. So it wasn't easy, but by 2010 we made the semi-final of MLS Cup. We lost to Colorado, so we were growing slowly. And then 2012 we had the Supporter Shield. We won that, and I did get Coach of the Year that year as well in 12. And in that year, which was great, Chris Wondolowski tied the scoring record in MLS, and I didn't know it until we were talking about it. He tied the record with Roy Lassiter, who did it in '96, and I played with him. So I was on the team that Roy was playing on, Tampa. He scored 27 goals, and then I coached Wando, and he scored 27 goals. I don't know how many years later, I can work that out, but in 2012. So, yeah, fun times. I enjoyed them.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly a phenomenal career to just sit back in here and soak it in. If you had to pick, your favourite moment out of that 10, 12 years, what would it be?
Probably winning the first cup, because it's hard to win. I don't care who you are. I mean, some coaches never get to win, and they're great coaches.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to, I think the first win was very important for me. It proved that I could do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard thing of any coach. You don't, if you're not winning, you tend to doubt yourself. I think it didn't set me up too well, because I thought it was not easy, but
No, for sure.
success is going to keep coming, but it doesn't. It dries up sometimes, and then depends on the different moves you have. You're going to probably talking about it in a bit. I moved to a few other teams where it's not as easy. Different circumstances.
Yeah.
I can't sort of do the things I wanted to. The game's changing. There's more influence from owners and from sporting directors and stuff like that. So the game changed. I liked it when I was in charge.
Yeah.
And I could do not wherever I wanted, but near enough.
Yeah.
And that's when I was successful.
Now, I want to kind of pivot into the USL talk. You've managed in the USL. The Chupacabras, of course, are a USL 2 outfit. I think it makes sense for us to have a brief conversation at the very least on your experiences, coaching in the USL. Now, from back then to how it is now, vastly different. Yeah. And it's changing, by the minute. We've got promotion and relegation coming. But the way I was looking at this when I was doing my research and looking into you was, coming from England, we have so many of those minor league divisions, the Championship, whatever it was called back then, League One, League Two, and so on. Was that a reason that the USL, kind of attracted you? You've coached several teams in the USL, and that being technically the minor league of the MLS. Was that something that was kind of at the forefront of your mind, that you'd seen that growing up at least for a few years, and you kind of then played over there in the first division and seen how those leagues navigated? Was it maybe something that you were thinking of, let's get involved with this now as it's up and coming?
Yeah, I think so. But the reason I did move back to, I was in Chicago in MLS. It's the first time I've been fired. Shouldn't have fired me, by the way. It's like, didn't know what he's doing. No, it's kidding. I felt we were on a good path, and we were winning. And I thought just needed one more turn of end of the season, changed a few more players. I think we've been good. Yeah. Doesn't matter. It's water under the bridge now. So I come back, and for the family, I said to the family that I've got a wife and 2 boys. It was like, I'm going to stay. We're going to move everyone back to San Jose area, where most of my time or our time was. I'll go look for jobs from there. So I got a call for Phoenix Rising. It's called Phoenix Rising now, but it used to be called Arizona United. Yeah. And they wanted to get a bit of a name to come in, just to change the attitude of the locals and stuff like that in Phoenix. So great ownership group, Brett Johnson, who actually ends up buying Ipswich Town. That's another story. We haven't got the time to go into it. But anyway, he hired me. It was Arizona United. They were changing over to Phoenix Rising. Had a great ownership group. So in the time of that, so it went through the first season tough. It wasn't results. Just keep going, keep the name going. But in the off season, we changed to Phoenix Rising, and then from that, I signed Sean Wright Phillips,
great player.
Yeah. Jordan Stewart, Omar Bravo, who some of the Mexican people who are listening to this will know, one of the top goal scorers. If not, I think he's still the leading goal scorer ever for Chivas.
Wow.
Guadalajara. Yeah. So signed him. So I had some good players coming in. And then right as I was sort of going through all that, Didier Drogba signed. But I had told the ownership group that I was only doing this for as long as we get this going. I didn't want to live, it's a long story, but I wanted to get home back to my family, and I'd do this for like as long as it takes to get going. So maybe after 14 months or so, I went back home and sort of left that job. Yeah. And then from that, I got the Fresno job. Yeah. I was the general manager in that one and sporting director. Second year, we made the playoffs. That was fun. Actually, good time there. And then that team ended up moving to Monterey. I don't know if you know the story about that, but yeah. So the whole franchise folded in Fresno. Yeah. Which you do in the USL. hopefully not here.
No, definitely not.
It's grown great here, but yeah, and then moved the whole franchise over to Monterrey, and it's still going strong now, and it's a good franchise. They haven't done very well. I left it. We were in a playoff position when I left, which is another one I wasn't happy about leaving, but that's fine. I get on with it. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. So I like building clubs, and I think that's been quite successful. But the USL's strong. I mean, there's throughout all of them, the two, Division One, Championship, and now they're going to bring in a Premier League in the USL. I'm not sure what they're going to call it, but it's sort of that. So exciting times.
Yeah, you've kind of briefly mentioned there about the Chicago Fire stuff, and then in your latter stages in the USL. Those are probably the only two real sore points of your career. How do you look back on both of those things? You've said it quite jovially there and kind of joking about those experiences, but throughout your whole career, those are the only two real times where it maybe didn't go the way you wanted it to, the way it really planned out. So looking back on both of those stints now, would you have done anything differently? I know you said that you shouldn't have been fired at Chicago.
Yeah. Probably, not stick up for yourself more, but be more vocal when it's not going well, and you know why. Tell the owner and make sure he backs you. But I had a bunch of older guys at Chicago where I knew as soon as I went in, I went, this is going to be tough, because they'd been there years. They're texting the owner, and I'm thinking, this is not good, So then I didn't play a lot of them. That there were guys that they weren't good enough. So, I knew it's just getting back to the owner, and he was, he should have been stronger and said, I told him he shouldn't be texting anybody, any of the players, because their view doesn't matter. My view and your, to the owner, our view is what matters. It doesn't matter what they think, because you can't start listening to, disgruntled employees unless it's something bad I've done, which is not. I've just not played them. So, yeah, it was tough, I thought. But, you live and learn. But I still stand by the stuff. If I'm left alone, I'm not bad. Yeah, I can really build a team and get on with it. And it was disappointing, but that's life.
And just as we kind of wrap up, I wanted to touch on what your coaching philosophy is and how that's been throughout your career, and potentially with the future that you've still got ahead of you. You've mentioned throughout this about building a team. You like doing that. You like building a team, and you certainly like building young players. So would you kind of try and build your philosophy around that, the way you play? You mentioned you don't want to play hoofball, as we'd call it, kick it up to the big man. So what would you say your kind of philosophy has been throughout that career?
Well, I think a lot of times you got to figure out the players you've got and figure out a system and a way of playing that suits them, because you can't change all the players all the time. So you got to figure out what you got, work around it, figure out a system that's comfortable, figure out a system that they are going to excel, and pick players into that's a fine. Sorry. Put players into positions so they can excel. And that's I think I'm pretty good at that, where the shape of the team, I got told a few times in Chicago, it's like, this guy never plays right back, and I'm thinking, well, I see him as one. I played him at right back most of the season, and then all of a sudden he's playing right back for the national team. So Bob Bradley thinks the same thing to me, but the owner didn't think the same thing. I keep picking on the owner. Sorry, Andrew. Anyways, doesn't matter. I think, and for me, building is like, getting the best out of the players. It's a simple philosophy, I think. I like to play good football. I like to be on the front foot. I definitely like to attack more than waiting to see what the opposition does. That's not me. And all my teams that have had success is front foot football. It's not always about pressing. Sometimes it's waiting a little bit and then pouncing and then going. Does that make sense? So trapping teams is important, and then winning at the right moments, and then go express yourself. I do like pace. I think it's exciting for not only the coaching staff and the players that play on the team with, or the guys at the back. If you've got pace up front or wide or wherever it is, it's exciting to play with that, because you could score at any moment. And I think that's important. And I think that's one of my styles is making sure that we do attack with pace and we create chances. And that's what I think. If you're good at home, in any league or any team you're in at whatever level, it's like you got to be fun to watch at home.
Yeah.
You can get the fans behind you, and you tend to win more games at home.
I love it. Well, Frank, this has been a truly awesome discussion. Thank you so much for joining me and we've got Connor, our business operations manager, behind the camera, Kelly, our photographer as well. So thank you to you two as well. This has been great. Thank you so much for joining us here in McKinney and again in this Stuff.io studio. But for now, thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully we'll be back here soon.